If you're wondering what habits drive the success of the most successful entrepreneurs, then you're going to want to stick around. Today, I'm sharing 9 proven entrepreneurial habits that you can test out so you can reach your goals and success even faster. For the very best advice on creating a business and lifestyle that allows you to have the freedom and flexibility you've always wanted, be sure to hit subscribe and tap that bell so that you get notified the next time I post a new weekly video. Consistent habits are an incredibly important entrepreneurial skill. So I spend a lot of my time coaching my clients on how to create habits that work for them so that they could reach their own goals more efficiently. These tips work for them, they'll work for you too. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm a third generation entrepreneur and I've spent a lot of time studying other successful entrepreneurs. And if there's one thing that I've noticed, the most successful ones focus their habits around 3 specific areas. They're focused around focus, clarity, and consistency. So let's go ahead and break each of those 3 down and explain exactly why they're important, as well as an example of a famous entrepreneur that's known for this specific skill. So first one is focus, right? Truth is, time equals money. I'm going to repeat that. Time equals money. The more focused you are, the faster your results are. And when time is money, that means everything. So focus is essential. Focus also helps you become the established expert. So the best way I love to describe this is think about when you have a specific health ailment, right? When you have a specific health ailment, you don't necessarily want to go to your GP. Your GP has studied a wide array of different elements to be able to help you identify and then refer you to a specialist. Right? That specialist has spent more focused time and attention on learning whatever that specific ailment is in order to be able to cure you. So you're not going to go to a GP if you have brain cancer. Instead, you're going to go to a specialist who literally has studied for years and years and years how to cure your brain cancer. And running a business is really absolutely no different. So great example of an entrepreneur who is known for being very focused would be Jeff Bezos. So before Amazon was the juggernaut that it is today in terms of customer service, he started off with one specific problem back in the 90s that he wanted to solve. He wanted to make buying books easier. Amazon essentially to start was a book reseller, and that was it. And he created a system that made it really, really easy for folks to provide reviews on books and to comment and share what books it was that they liked and what people should be reading. Ultimately, that system played really well into other things that we could buy online as well, which is what turned Amazon into what it is today. But it all is grounded in the fact that Bezos is known for being very focused on customer service and buying experience. So this is just one of many great examples of why focus is so, so important when you are starting out. Next up is clarity, because truth is lack of clarity is the #1 cause if you're overwhelmed and also causes inaction. If you're not clear on what steps to make, you don't know what steps to take. Without clarity, making decisions in your business becomes an absolute impossibility, right? Especially making effective decisions. So having habits surrounding clarity is something that the most successful entrepreneurs all prioritize. A great example of an entrepreneur that prioritizes clarity in their decision making would be Bill Gates, as shown in the Netflix documentary Decoding Bill's Brain, which I absolutely love. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. I'll drop a link below. But in the documentary, they show how Bill makes a regular practice of going on a reading sabbatical, where he goes out to a cabin or he goes out to, a second home, and he takes a week and all he does is read. That allows him the space that he needs to be able to think and ponder all of the things that are on his plate so that he can then make effective decisions moving forward when he comes back to work. This is a great example of somebody who's very, very successful, making sure that they prioritize clarity. And in a little bit, I'm going to show you different things that you could do to make clarity part of your habit strategy. Last up are habits surrounding consistency. Entrepreneurs in general thrive on failure. And in order to be able to fail, you have to be doing things on a consistent basis. Consistent results ultimately are from consistent action, taking action on the right things at the right time on a regular basis. Consistency is not something that you can ignore. And building habits into your lifestyle that make it easier for you to be consistent are going to make you a more efficient entrepreneur and more successful. One great example of an entrepreneur whose consistency led him to the successful business that is well known today is Henry Ford. Most people don't know that the Ford Motor Company was actually Henry's third at an automobile company. Which is crazy when you think about it. So he tried and failed at 2 different motor companies before he created the Ford Motor Company, which was so successful that it still exists today. And that wouldn't be possible had he not had the consistency to continue going out, developing automobile products and testing out different markets and figuring out exactly where to place his product within the market, right? It was all testing and failing. He eventually hit it through mass market during the Industrial Revolution. He was able to create a vehicle that made it possible for everybody to own a vehicle and not just the most elite. And as a result, Ford Motor Company still exists today. So I want to know, go ahead and comment below and tell me what habits you've already tested to help improve your focus, clarity, and consistency. All right, so today I'm sharing 9 total habits that you could add into your lifestyle that'll help you build out each of those 3 areas. So I'm sharing 3 habits for each of the 3 areas, so you'll have 9 total habits to try out. First up are habits surrounding focus, right? So number 1, setting goals. If you've never learned how to set goals, now is the time to learn to do it. Goals don't have to be super complex. They don't have to be black and white either. One of the ways I love to describe it is setting an intention instead of a goal, right? So just by having goals or intentions set for yourself, that's going to allow you to make sure that all of your actions are in alignment with whatever those goals are, which therefore focuses your efforts, right? So learning how to set goals, number 1, first habit you should be building. Second habit that helps with focus would be prioritization, right? So again, you can't build prioritization habits without having that goal setting habit in place. You have to be clear and know exactly what it is you want, what time frame you want it in, and what you need to do to get there in order to be able to prioritize the actions that you need to make the goal happen. So prioritization, very simply, is building habits around making sure you're only taking action on things that will help you achieve your goals, right? So number 2 is prioritize. The third habit I love to suggest for folks to help them with their focus is to build out time tracking habits. So time tracking can be as simple as using something like the Pomodoro method, which I'll make sure that I link to a resource on below. The Pomodoro method is basically using a timer where you, for 50 minutes, do focused work, and then you take a 10-minute break. And you repeat it over and over and over again. And it makes it very, very easy that for that 50 minutes that you're only focused on that one task, right? So again, it's a habit that helps you with your focus. Other time tracking habits that you might find helpful as well is literally tracking all your time on what you spend on things. So a great app I love to use that I will link to below is called Toggle. I recommend a lot of my clients try it out. And it works on any computer or mobile device, and you just punch in, when you're starting on a task, when you're ending, and it makes it very easy for you to see and visualize where you are spending your actual time. If you notice that where you're spending your time is not in alignment with what your priorities were or your goals from the first 2 habits, then you know exactly what you need to change in order to become more focused moving forward, right? So those are my top 3: goal setting, prioritization, and time tracking. Habits that will help you with your clarity. Number 1 would be meditation, which I also mentioned in this video right here. Meditation is kind of like fitness for your brain. And if you want to gain clarity, you have to be able to make time for yourself, kind of similar to what Bill does, where it's just you and your thoughts, to be able to think clearly, right? So meditation is a great practice that allows you to have that space within your brain and your thinking to be able to see things more clearly. So meditation is a habit that if you haven't adopted or learned how to do it yet, I would definitely recommend that you add it to your roundup. Journaling is another great habit that helps encourage clarity. So journaling is as simple as just writing every single day whatever comes to mind for you, because truth is, until you get it out of your brain and onto paper, it's difficult to see what's actually going on, right? It's a very, very helpful and cathartic process and will ultimately help you see clearer. So journaling also kind of ties into a practice that I love to share with my clients called brain dumping, right? So if you're really stuck on a problem or you're not sure on where to go next, you just kind of take out a piece of paper or journal and write down every single thing that's on your mind, brain dump it. Then from there, once it's all on paper, it makes it much easier to see and process and organize that information to then know what steps to take next. So journaling and writing are essential to help you gain clarity. And then last but not least, making sure you adopt a practice of solitude. So solitude could come in many different ways. Like I said, it could be making time to meditate or to journal for yourself. It could be going for a walk outside. It could be making time for yourself to exercise. It could be, any kind of time that you spend by yourself. That's time just for you to be able to unwind is very important. Not all that different than what Bill does with his book sabbatical. You need to be able to have that time alone to be able to think and process everything that's going on. And when you do, you will have a much higher level of clarity than you did before you spent the time alone. So I highly recommend, in terms of habits, make sure that you schedule a regular habit that you are taking time for yourself at least once a week for a few hours to be able to do things by yourself. So let's talk about habits that build consistency, right? So very first up, in order to remain consistent, you need to have a certain level of accountability. A lot of new entrepreneurs have difficulty with this because they're moving from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset, which is very much moving from having somebody else that's telling you everything you need to do and be accountable to having yourself have to learn how to keep yourself accountable and decide what it is that you need to be doing. So I find the easiest habit to add into your lifestyle is to make sure that you are verbalizing your intentions and your goals with other people around you. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your colleagues, it could be your employees if you have a new business. But making sure that you are kind of putting out into the world what your intentions are so that other people can help you remain accountable, plus you want to live up to those expectations, will help you create that accountability habit. Another important habit when it comes to consistency is tracking your results, right? So a lot of new entrepreneurs, when I start working with them, they're not doing any kind of tracking at all whatsoever. And again, this really requires you doing the goal setting and the prioritization first. But once you do have that, you need to be tracking your results on how far along you are in reaching whatever those goals are. So it could be as simple as, scheduling a weekly appointment with yourself where you look at how far you came over the last week. Maybe you do a quarterly review, maybe you do an annual, but you have to be able to track exactly where you are in terms of reaching whatever level of success it is that you want, because otherwise you're going to have no visibility as to where you are in the process and you're going to remain stuck. So any kind of habit that you could build around tracking results is ultimately going to help you see success even faster. And last but not least, in order to become consistent, you need to learn how to schedule things. This is so simple. This is just using a calendar, folks. So if you're not used to utilizing a calendar and scheduling consistent appointments, whether it be, like we said, for the, making time to track things, making time to prioritize things, making time to journal, adding, your meditation time in the morning, that is how you build consistency. So definitely you want to make sure that you adopt some kind of a calendar system, and it doesn't have to be digital. A lot of folks get freaked out and they think they need to have some kind of a digital cloud system. That's not the case. You can go old school with just a little notebook and piece of paper. But you definitely want to make sure that you are scheduling time for all of your habits and you are doing so on a consistent basis, because that will help you take action on what will ultimately bring you to the success you're looking to see. Now you know 9 entrepreneurial habits that you could test out so you can see success fast. Want to see success even faster? I have the perfect resource to help you out. My entrepreneurial mindset quiz will help you get a clear picture on exactly what skills you'll need to build in order to find freedom and flexibility as a successful entrepreneur. Get started today by clicking the link below. Check out these videos next on how to improve your mindset and habits. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, hit like, and share with your friends.